What's up, y'all? It's your man Wally, the Southern Kid with the City Swag, coming at you live with something fresh and new. This right here is what we like to call MX Sunday Soul. Today on MX Sunday Soul, we're going to talk about Grammy-nominated gospel artist Kierra Sheard, who we consider to be a mogul in the making, as she has made a major impact in music, movies, merchandise, and media. Take a look. Blossoming before our very eyes, Kierra Sheard continues to break barriers beyond those naturally expected of a gospel recording artist. From the tender age of 9, Sheard began this journey introduced to the world by her mother, Karen Sheard, during the live recording of Finally Karen, a 14-track Grammy-nominated gospel album that was critically acclaimed, yet ahead of its time, even for the 90s. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. I was downstairs, it was a Sunday morning, and my mom had called me upstairs, and she wanted me to see Kierra and Karen singing The Will of God. This was for the album Finally Karen, the live recording. And I had never in my life seen someone around my age on television belting out notes like that. And I think that's kind of when my fascination started with the entire Sheard family. Now, 22 years after her debut performance, Sheard has released her 7th album, self-titled Kierra. Partially recorded live in September of 2019, the contemporary gospel record appears to be a nod to her mother's 1997 debut album, mirroring its likeness by combining musical elements beyond those known of the traditional gospel genre. Born into gospel music royalty with roots that reach back 3 generations, the bar has been inevitably set high for the Detroit native since birth. Throughout the years, the It Keeps Happening songstress has gone above and beyond to maintain a prominent presence in movies, merchandise, and media. On April 17th, Kierra was released via Karew Records Entertainment, an entertainment company comprised of young and innovative millennials influencing the culture of music, film, fashion, and more. The album, Kierra, reached the top of the gospel charts, defeating Kanye West and his 6-month reign with his recent album, Jesus is King. During the live recording of Kierra, held at her father's church, Greater Emmanuel Institutional Church of God in Christ, Kierra honored her mother's legacy by wearing the same exact vintage sequin jacket that was worn by Karen Sheard during the first half of the live recording for Finally Karen. This moment held such symbolic relevance as she planned to self-title the album just as her mother did 22 years ago. Kierra Sheard was also joined on stage by gospel artists Leandria Johnson, Tasha Cobbs, and Todd Delaney, all of which were featured on the 15-track album. The album Kierra was so different than anything that I've heard in quite some time. And it reminded me a lot of what her mom did when she came out with Finally Karen, because I remember, especially when I was a kid, first of all, I listened to that CD almost every day, thanks to my mom. It was one of her CDs, actually. And I remember she used to just play it every Sunday. Anytime we actually were going out anywhere and we had quite a little drive, she would put in the Finally Karen CD. And I almost knew everything word for word. But when I look at Kierra's album, I looked at the instrumentation that she used. I looked at the lyrics that she used. I looked at the approach that she came to every single song with. This was definitely a project that will, I believe, stay at the top of the charts for a long time. And it has the potential to impact the world and bring a lot of new souls to God. In the midst of working on her 7th album, Kierra Sheard was also preparing for something big, big, big. Queen Latifah, Mary J. Blige, and Missy Elliott teamed up with the Lifetime Movie Network to produce a televised biopic honoring the lives and legacy of the legendary Clark sisters. Sheard, who initially wanted to audition for the role of her aunt Denise Clark, was selected to play the role of her mother Karen Clark instead. Although this may have been the first time audiences have witnessed Sheard as an actress, she is no stranger to the film industry. In 2010, Kierra appeared in both The Preacher's Kid and Blessed and Cursed, neither of which could compare to the stunning performance that she gave as a supporting actress in the Clark sisters' First Lady of Gospel. With great success since its premiere and repeat air dates, the biopic has gained a total of well over 12 million viewers. Critics have even considered this to be the best biopic of all time on the Lifetime Movie Network. The Clark sisters, First Ladies of Gospel, that's my movie. I'm telling you, I watched it at least 5 or 6 times already. Seeing Kierra Sheard in the Clark Sisters, First Lady of Gospel, that really was my first time seeing her really get into a role. I've seen her in Preacher's Kid before, and of course in Blessed and Cursed. She actually was in Blessed and Cursed with her mom, for those of you who don't remember that movie as well. But seeing Kierra Sheard on screen, portraying the role of her mother, there was plenty of moments where I almost forgot. This is Kiki I'm looking at on TV. This isn't Kierra, this is Karen right here in the flesh. It was a very good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that my number one moment in the movie was when they were at the conference, which is now known as the AIM conference, but then back then had a different name. The Koji conference, where the scene where Kierra, Karen was given the mic and she was singing for the very first time. So that song, I Can Do All Things Through Christ, when Kierra performed that as her mother, it was an amazing, amazing moment. She really, really killed that scene. I felt the emotion in that scene so much. Lights, camera, fashion. Yes, Kierra Sheard has continued to enlarge her territory by tapping into the fashion design industry, thus creating 1160, a collection that specializes in chic attire for the curvy woman. 1160 honors the bold and classy nature of Kierra's inspiration, her mother, gospel legend, Karen Clark Sheard. 1160 is actually the month and year that her mother was born. Like never before, social media is now playing a massive part in how entertainers connect with their audiences and fans all over the world. Catching Kierra, one of the many video blog series that Kierra Sheard has to offer on her YouTube channel, gives viewers more of an exclusive look inside the life of the gospel legend on the rise. Since the recent pandemic COVID-19, the singer has taken to her YouTube platform, creating new segments, Quarantine and Grill, and Quarantining with Kierra, both of which engage her audiences with tips on cooking and spiritual balance during this difficult time.
Want to first and foremost congratulate you on the success of your album, Kierra. This particular album, it made it to the top of the charts. I remember when you posted on Instagram, and you were just celebrating. It's an amazing thing for you. How exactly did you feel in that moment when you first received the news that your album had gone all the way to the top of the gospel charts?
I was super excited, and I think what topped it off for me was, like, I love Kanye, so let me make that clear. But I think what topped it off for me was understanding that he had been there for 6 months. Like, that was a different kind of achievement. Yes. And I even was like, I just wanted to keep going up, you know, like I don't want it to stop here. So I was really excited and just grateful. And I was proud, you know, to see that gospel music had done something while this, you know, major pop artist of such great influence was over on our charts, that a gospel artist was able to kind of shake up some things. But I'm hoping that we can do it again. And I hope that more pop artists are on our charts, because that means that the message is changing overall. So I just love everything about that happened. So because I've been blessed to have another number one record, I was excited that it was that again, but I was just really excited to finally put out my new music, you know, after 5 years, my own stuff. So that was really what was like, oh, this is so dope. And I was super grateful for that number one, but I guess I'll say I had an array of emotions.
Yeah, you actually answered my next question that I was going to ask you, especially talking about the Kanye's album being there for 6 months. And that's just very powerful for you to come in and knock it out the park like that. It's a dope album. It's an amazing album. I'm very appreciative for all of the different flavors that you put up in there, but we're going to get to that. But speaking of producers like Kanye, your brother, Jay Drew, he was involved hands-on with the project that you just released. And I think it's very amazing that your family is very big on building and maintaining a legacy in music for 3 generations. How has that positively impacted your life, and what lessons have you learned from that?
So, you know, my mom she's like this family person. Like, she'll call a quick family meeting. We need to have a meeting. And, you know, we'll all come in the room huffing and puffing like, oh, here we go. So my mom has always been like that advocate for, you know, familial connections and just making sure that legacy is there and making sure it's strong. And I would tell a story, but I don't want to take up too much time. But my mom started that, you know, so it was always a big thing with us. And then I am super family oriented. Like I love and adore my family. It was really special. I often tell everybody that has asked me about my brother and our production and why we're still going, because we've been doing this now together literally since my first moment of debuting on my mom's record when I was 9 years old. She had him on the drums. So it went from that to now we're in our 30s and still making music together. And in that journey, you know, we were in my mom's closet. My father built a studio in my mom's closet. So they were always like just making sure we were cultivating our gifts and just in covering us as a family, whatever it took to invest in us to make sure y'all can do it together, build together. And I think that came from, you know, my mom, you know, having that connection and relation with her sisters, where my Aunt Twinkie was like, hey, let's write this song. So now I'm literally to a place where if I write a song from scratch, because I don't play any instruments, I feel like the best person to send it to is my brother. He's like a mother that interprets the language of a toddler. You know how when you can't understand what the child is saying, but the mother for some reason completely understands it. Literally, that's what my brother will do for me. And I sent him It Keeps Happening with no instrumentation behind it, nothing. It was just me and a voice note. I didn't even have any chords and that's what it came out to be for the song It Keeps Happening. And then I think I sent him Always Win too. So it's a special thing for me. And if I made music without my brother, I think it would be really weird and awkward because he challenges me, but he also is like, try this. And, you know, even the arguments that is annoying in the studio with him, that even makes it more special because the opposition that we share in that moment, but to deliver something that comes out so successful and effective, you know, and to see that God's hand is on it is really special. So I have to have that, and it means a lot to me.
My personal I would say my top five, since you already said I Always Win. Always Win is in my top five. I don't think it's my number one, though. I think my number one is Better. And then I would say number two for me would be Human. And then I would choose number three, Always Win. Number four, I choose You. Number five, Sunday Flow. I think those, for me, I picked those because those are really, to me, raw songs that can speak to people that are beyond the church walls. And I just, even with the lyrics, especially Human.
First, let me say thank you for giving me your feedback, and I want to know now, later down the line, if your top fives will change. So please keep in touch with me so I can know.
Okay. I work with Missy Elliott and also Tasha Cobbs on the album as well. Let's talk about working with such powerful women on the project.
I was completely blown away. Like, my manager was like, we need to get Missy on this song, and I actually wanted Missy on another song. But it was just a dream. Like, I don't like bothering a lot of the influential people that I may have in my phone. I just kind of like to be there if they need me for anything. So they won't think, you know, that I'm always trying to ask them for something, if you know what I mean. So it was very abnormal for me to reach out to Missy and say, hey, can you get on this song? But my manager challenged me, like, please, you know, do it. Go ahead and ask her what's the worst thing that she could say. And I'm like, the worst thing she could say is no. And, you know, usually they'll just end it like, well, that's it. That's just it. Then you can go for it. But I went to her and I asked her. It was very easy. I let her hear the song. She was like, just send me the song. And I sent it to her and she was like, it's dope. It's cute. I like it. And right away, she got right back to me and sent me with her voice on it. And I was like spazzing out, tears in my eyes, and was like, Mommy, Missy's on the song. So I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it because I had been like a nut hard fan of Missy when she was like, you know, super duper fly, like knew all of, because then she was this curvy woman. So having said all of that, with her being who she is in the game and pop culture and music, she's also a female musician who has produced the majority of her music. I'm like, what? This icon is on my record. So that was a really special moment for me. Tasha is my friend. You know, I love when we get together. It's always special. That's like my sister. We talk a little more often. Missy and I are talking more often too now, but Tasha talk often. So it's just like, oh, my sister is on another song, but I don't take her presence for granted. I think when we collaborate it really ministers to so many people. So I'm just always blessed that she would continue to say yes.
So definitely, I love to see you all together. And even with Something Has to Break, the visual that you put out for that, it was so on time. The message behind the song and also the video, just so relative to what we're going through right now with COVID-19. So last September, you had the live recording for your album, Kierra. When I saw the pictures, that was done by a homie, Mel B.
Cool.
You wore a jacket that your mother wore in her debut album, the live recording for her debut album. And I just thought that was such a symbolic moment. I just wanted to know from you personally, how did it feel to go out and perform in front of people in the jacket that your mother wore when she first introduced you to the world?
It was really special, and actually, how that happened was we had some challenges with the wardrobe. It wasn't going as the way I planned, and my friend Maya, who often she works with us, she came to the house to come and get something that she needed for the night of the recording, and I opened my closet, and she was like, "Oh, this is dope, Key," and she was like, "Where is this from?" And I was like, "It's from my mom, finally Karen." So she just started like spazzing like, "Oh my God, that is the jacket." And she was like, "You should wear this." And I was like, "I should." So that was how it happened. And I took a chance. I wore it, and I think we had some quick changes made to it. Shamika called one of the, you know how the aunties in the hood can whip up something real quick, and she came through and kind of added some inches because my mom was actually smaller than I from Finally Karen. So I needed some more space in it, but it was really special. Okay. It was fun, funny, and it was special how it came together because on that night, my brother put me at the top of the stage, which I was really nervous about. And a lot of the stuff he tried to keep a secret so that it was a surprise for me. I didn't know that I had wings behind me until I saw the playback of it all. So just seeing it all after the fact, I was just like, wow. It was like, and then somebody else was like, it was like you had the mantle on you from Finally Karen. They were like, that jacket is a mantle. Yeah. So it was really special for me. It was a sentimental moment. And then with the movie coming out, with me playing my mom, it's just like, you know, God is just amazing. It's a beautiful life story. One day I'll have my biopic.
Yeah, we hope so. It keeps happening for you. And actually, since you went ahead and brought up the movie, let's go ahead and get into it. You gave an awesome performance all throughout the film. I saw you in another interview say that you initially wanted to play your aunt, Denise Clark Bradford, and you were casted as your mom. So, what made you lean towards that role or wanting that role in the beginning?
I wanted to because I knew bits and pieces of her story and the drama that came with it. And a lot of my family members have said that I remind them of my Aunt Niecy because she was so fun and bright, but she's ready to go in on, you know, and just I'll handle it all. She was very, we were just alike, talkative. We would just, you know, go for it. So I was like, I want to try it. And see if I can nail it, because even her sons have said, you remind me so much of Mom. So that was the first reason. And I was ready to give like that big personality on television. Right. And sort of like what we see Tasha Smith do, you know, those memorable moments. But I did audition for my mom's role, and they were like, you got your mom's role. You didn't get your Auntie Niecy's role. So I guess I'm more like my mom than I thought, and I see that every day. So it was a special opportunity for me.
So with the movie, just the process of studying the character, I know it's your mom, but was there any moment where you found out things that you had never knew as far as, you know, pertains to the role, playing your mother?
Well, yeah, about the family. I didn't know Aunt Twinkie sold her catalog for a car, which, by the way, she got it back. That was new.
Yes, I heard that.
And I didn't know. Yeah, and I didn't know that my grandmother had gone through such opposition. Like, to see how much we progressed in gospel music, and to see that was her battle then, it kind of had me to take my hats off for trailblazers like her in gospel music, because literally the Clark sisters and Dr. Mattie Moss Clark, they went and sang a song that you shout to on the Grammys. They ain't go with no dancing, you know, with no fire. It was just long dresses, a hat piece, and a shouting song, and they got, I don't want to say they were crucified, but they had challenges and opposition from the church. So to see how we have progressed, it's like, wow, she was a part of that progression. So I didn't know that, and that was really inspiring because she stuck to her guns. She was like a gospel gangster in a dress. She was like a G because too, it wasn't just opposition from the church, but it was challenges in her home with her husband, and then she had the challenge with her daughter's husband. So it was like my grandmother went through a lot, and to see how she stayed graceful, she stayed strong, and she even, because in a minute in this generation will allow anything to have us to walk away from the church or our salvation. But here, this woman, she's sticking through it no matter what. So those were things that I did not know.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's going to bring me down a couple of points, actually. So growing up Kojic myself, all the way from age 0, a lot of moments in this film really hit home. And there were some things that were played out on the screen that were somewhat triggering for, I think, a lot of people. I saw on social media some of the misogyny, domestic abuse, the suicidal thoughts, sex before marriage. Those are all touchy subjects that resurfaced. And actually, on social media that following week, I saw that church hurt became another trend. So just because you brought that up with your grandmother staying strong in the church, even after being ridiculed, that's a topic that's still relevant today. We're dealing with so many people, especially younger people and middle age, who leave the church after things happen. What do you think is exactly is it going to take for people to start walking back into the church and for people to actually heal? Because I think that's what has to happen. People sometimes get forgiveness and healing confused, and they think it's the same thing, and it's not synonymous. And that's just something that we really dealing with today in church culture.
One thing that we would have to do more of, the word says, with loving kindness that have I drawn thee. And I think that if we really begin to pray as a church and as a body, that our hearts are good, because as long as the heart is good, the body can do a lot. Your heart just has to be in a good place. So I will really just say that we should be more prayerful about where our hearts are. What is our posture when it comes to love and kindness? Because I think it's in the scriptures where it says that love covers a multitude of sins. So meaning I don't hold people to their hostage. So just dealing with love and mercy and kindness, the same things that we would ask God to deal with us for, exuding that. But then I also would say that the world, or the person that is coming to the church, people shouldn't pull you away from something so spectacular, from your creator, from God himself, because it's a lot of opposition that we get on our jobs. As my father would say, we go to our jobs every day and we can't stand some of our supervisors, our colleagues, or whatever it is, but we're going to go and get that money. So I think it's the same way we should do with our salvation. I'm going to go and get what I need spiritually for me to be in a good place, from my pastor and from those. I'm going to find the good in this moment. I heard somebody say before, chew the meat and spit out the bones. So I think there are things that we could do on both ends, and that is to know that you're still dealing with people that are needing to be worked on, and that's part of the reason why everybody is going to the church, so that we can grow and develop together.
Right.
And even speaking of this virus, you see how they saying the virus is deadly, but for some reason we can't seem to stay in. So you got all of that going on, and you got people that are still going out, but when it's time for you to go to church and deal with people for an hour or two, you can't go and deal with nobody for that long. So I think even that's something to consider as well.
You have such an amazing ministry beyond music and even beyond just being part of your church family. YouTube, Catching Kierra, Cooking with Kierra, Quarantine with Kierra. You are amazing. And I think you just see it. I don't know. You might see it as you just being your normal, funny, entertaining self. But honestly, it is just real life, raw ministry. I look at so many of your videos. I looked at even some this morning while I was working out, the one that you did on grief, and then also just a few other ones. You have such a real, raw perspective that you're giving to people, and you're not afraid to just tell people the truth. And I think that's a lot more of what this generations and generations after us need. We need Christians who are going to be on the front line, examples who are going to live, as far as telling their story, be honest about their story and their journey and their relationship with God. So I think that really, really, really helps. just wanted to commend you on that as well. It's amazing to see connecting with so many people on your channel. Thank you so much again for talking with us today, and we wish you the best of success. I hope that album stays up there on the charts. And I don't know if my top 5 is going to change, but hey, it might. I don't know. You know, like I said, I'm so stuck on Better and Human. I hope we get a visual for Better soon so I can have something to rock to in the morning time.
You know what? It's funny you said Better, because that's actually one of my favorites as well. And before we put that song out, I was like, I want to do a music video where it's like me boxing myself, but I'm like doing crazy choreography or something like that. But hopefully, because I definitely have kept my mind to it. But we're also working on some other things. My book should be coming out really soon, 2021. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So just stay tuned. Hopefully new music too is coming after this. Y'all want me to keep putting it out every year, I guess.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I've been looking forward to this conversation. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe out there with COVID. Go ahead and let everybody know where we can follow you on social media as well.
It's just my government name, Kierra Sheard. I'm everywhere on social media. And thank you again, and all the blessings and safety to you as well.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Now, one thing I definitely can say for sure, Kierra Sheard is a prime example of Luke chapter 14, verse 23, a commanding order from God for us to go out into all the world and compel men to come into the fold. Kierra Sheard's ministry has propelled her onto a worldwide platform that makes a relationship with God and religion both relatable. I want to send a special shout out to Kierra Sheard for joining us today on MX Sunday Soul. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.